Hey guys, and welcome back to another Will and Dad video. It's been a little while. In this video we're going to do a little how-to guide on how you can upgrade your laptop that may still contain a physical moving or spinning disk, as they're known, and how to upgrade that to an SSD to make it a bit more responsive. So we're going to show you that right after this. So before we start, and I'll show you how to migrate your OS spinning disk drive to an SSD, we're going to see how long the spinning drive takes to boot up into Windows to the desktop with Chrome loaded up and some tabs. So here we go. Okay, so there you go. That took around about a minute to boot up into the desktop and load up Chrome with about 5 or 6 tabs there, as most people probably generally would. So we're going to try and speed that up by swapping everything from this drive to an SSD, a solid state drive. These are not new, these have come down in price by quite a lot actually. Okay, so you're going to need a few items to get this going. Firstly, you're going to need an external caddy because your laptop may only have one drive bay for it, and it's currently populated with the drive that's currently in your laptop, and you can't put 2 in there. So we're going to need somewhere to put this to clone all your data to. Now what you need is a caddy. I have this one here. This is an older, as you can tell it's old because it still has a Molex power and an IDE port on the front of it. Any external caddy that takes an SSD or SATA connection will do. This one takes a 3.5-inch SATA connection drive, and obviously for smaller drives as well. Now you need to make sure that's powered up, obviously. Don't turn it on first. Put your drive that you're going to be copying to into your caddy. Plug the USB lead from the caddy, if it needs a USB lead, into your laptop and power on the caddy. Now, not all external drive caddies will need external power, and not all of them will connect in the same way that this one does. But whichever one you've got, follow the guide on how it gets you to connect it to the laptop, and that should sort you out. However that connects doesn't make any difference to this. So the next thing we're going to need is the software. And the software of choice that I'm going to be using, and I've used it before in previous videos, is Minitool. And you need to go to the link in the video description down below. Okay, so you need to go to the Minitool website, so minitool.com/download-center. I'll put a link in the video description down below. And scroll down a little bit until you find where it says Minitool Partition Wizard Free Edition, this one here. Click on Free Download, and that will start downloading. The file name is pw11-free. We've already downloaded it, so it's got a 1 next to it. Click on that to open it up. Accept that if you get a user account control pop-up window show up. Click on OK in your chosen language. Wait for the next window to pop up. And here we go. This is where you need to be a little bit careful. Free tools like this normally come with a few caveats, and I'll show you that as we're installing it. Do you want to participate in the customer experience program? That's entirely up to you. What that will probably do is send some telemetry about how you use the software back to the makers of the software so that they can improve it in various things like that. On this occasion, I'm going to untick that and click continue. You need to leave this ticked up here because obviously this is the software you're going to install. So leave that ticked and click next. Choose the location where you want that to go and click next. Now this is the caveat that I was talking about just a moment ago. Normally with free software, you get these things pop up here. Some people just click next, 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 and they have no idea what is being installed. And then you wonder why you've got weird toolbars and things showing up in your browser. So always check and don't keep clicking next without reading what's on the screen. Untick this one because this is actually going to install Premier Option as part of an online market research community. We don't want any of that rubbish, so we're going to untick it and click next. And now it's going to download the rest of the installer and install the program. Okay, so there we go. We can now launch the partition wizard. Okay, so there we go. We can now launch the mini tool partition wizard. So click finish. I forgot to mention this software is free. You don't need to pay for this. And here we go. So what we want is disk clone, because we're going to be copying everything from the spinning drive within this laptop already to the SSD, which I have down here. And then what we're going to do is click next on the wizard that pops up, the copy disk wizard. Select the disk to copy. This is the disk we're copying from, not to. So on this occasion, we are going to be losing a little bit of space copying it over to an SSD, but we're going to gain on performance, on boot up speed, and program runtime. So we're going to click the drive that's inside the laptop, our source drive, and now we're going to select the external drive. This one here, this is the 250 gig SSD. So we are going to let it decide and resize all the partitions to fit on this drive. We don't want to be messing about doing all that. So click next on the review changes window. You get a little warning there that this is a boot disk and you may need to reconfigure your BIOS to boot from this disk. We don't need to do that because we're going to be physically removing the internal drive of this laptop and replacing it with the SSD very shortly. So when you're ready, click finish. And then what you need to do here is click apply in the top left corner of the mini tool partition wizard free window. You've just ran through a wizard to set up the job that you want to apply to these drives. You now need to apply that so that it can actually action the jobs you've put in place. So click apply. It's going to say, are you sure? It's going to close all other applications and it may restart. So click yes. So it's now copying all the data from the internal drive to the external SATA SSD there. So we're going to come back in a moment when that's finished and swap the drives over and check how quickly it boots up. Okay, so before you go off and make a coffee or whatever else you're going to do while it's copying all the data over, we've been given this warning here. Now, I didn't explain this earlier, so I'm going to do this now. If the drive is in use, it can't copy some of the system files because Windows is using them, for one, and you will need to restart the PC so that it can copy it in before it boots into Windows. So what you need to do is you need to click on the Restart Now button, and as you'll see here, it's now going to restart, and it will continue the job of copying the files from the hard drive to the SSD without Windows interfering with any system files that it also needs to copy over as well. So it's now rebooting, and what it's going to do is boot up into a special mode that will allow it to continue copying. So here we go. It's now going to start the wizard of copying the files, and there we go, as we can see there on the screen now. It's copying the C drive, as you can see here, C drive partition, and away it goes, processing files. Now this is going to take some time because it is a 500 gig drive, but it is only copying the data, not the entire drive, and it won't copy unused space. It only copies the data that's actually on the drive. So we're going to let that carry on and we'll come back in a minute. Okay guys, so there we go. When it's done its copying, the laptop will restart and boot back into Windows using the drive that you've already got in the laptop. So now we need to take the laptop cover off, and if you're not familiar about how to do this, then there are other guides on the internet that can help you with that. But we are just going to quickly go over this one, swap the drive over, and then we're going to boot the laptop back up and show you the difference in time. So let's do that now. Okay, so we're just going to go over this very, very quickly. What I tend to do, this particular laptop is really easy to open. There's a handful of screws. There's only one panel to open on the back of the laptop, and it's really, really simple to do. Now, what you can do is get yourself a magnetic tray to put your screws in, so that, you know, if you knock it on the floor, they won't go all over the place and you won't lose them. So I don't have one of those, so we're not going to do that. But what you can do is what I'm doing here. If Will can show you on the other camera there, I'm positioning the screws in the order that I'm taking them out of the laptop. So for example, this one here will go, once I can get the screw out, will go on that side because that's in relation to this screw, which is for that corner over there. And we just continue to do that until all the screws are out. Simple. But of course, if you're not happy about taking your laptop apart, then maybe your local computer shop will do this for you. There may be a charge for that. Normally this type of work they don't do for free, and they may even do the cloning for you. If you're doing the cloning yourself, then you're probably going to be taking the laptop apart on your own anyway. You know, don't be scared. Just be wary. If the laptop is under warranty, which it probably isn't, if you're going to be swapping it with a SSD from a spinning drive, then you'll find just to do it yourself. You won't void any warranty opening that up. But yeah, do check your laptop isn't under warranty before you start, because opening the laptop under warranty will void it.
Oh, there it is.
Like I say, this laptop is really easy to open, and this is the inside of the laptop. Not much to it, really. So we're going to swap the drive over. This isn't a guide on how to swap the drives over. This is just how to clone the drive. So we're going to remove the spinning drive from this system. Again, unscrew the screws there from the caddy that's holding the hard drive in place. So again, with the screws, position the screws where you're taking them out so that when you put them back, you know what screw goes where. Right, so here we go. This is the spinning drive that we are replacing with this drive. So we're going to swap these over. So here we go, take that drive out, put it to one side, put the SSD that you're replacing it with in the same direction. So in our case, the SATA ports go there, and then replace the screws that you just took out for the hard drive and put them back in.
And then just do it with it.
And yep, and just do it all up again the same way you took it out.
If I were you, I'd do it just like my dad, because he's ordered it perfectly so that you know exactly where the screws go. That is clever.
It seems to work for me. So, but you use whatever method.
I thought you had no common sense, but then you do.
But you use whatever method works for you. Last one in there, and put the hard drive caddy in the same way you took it out. Line up the SSD power and data ports there, and then slide it in, and then put the remaining screws back in. And once you put all the screws back in, if you want to, it's probably a good idea just to do a test boot before you start putting all the screws back in. If you're confident about that, then I would recommend always doing a test boot before you put all the screws back in, because you never know, something might have gone wrong during the copying process and you might have to start again. It's never happened for me, but you never know. The drive that you're using to copy to could be faulty for all you know. You just don't know. I'm pretty confident this is going to work, so I am actually going to put everything back in, and I must put the ribbon back in. If there is a ribbon over your drive, make sure you put that back in, because that will stop things working the way they're supposed to. And there we go. The ribbon is back in. Put the back on the laptop. Give it a push. Don't be scared to give it a push. It will click and clunk and other things like that. That's just it. Getting into position, and there we can put these screws in. We're not going to put the screws in right this second. I'm just going to do a test boot of this laptop. So for that, we need to plug the power back in, and then we're going to do a timed boot to see how much difference it made. So now we're going to turn the laptop on and see how quickly this thing boots up with the SSD installed. Now we're just waiting for Chrome to load up. We can see the little circle there next to the mouse pointer, and we're just waiting for Chrome now. There we go, and there is Chrome with all the tabs open. And there we go. And we'll put the times side by side, so you're probably still seeing the other one still booting up. Incredible. And a very simple change that is, and that's everything as it was before. In fact, the old drive that was in there is here. So there we have it. We've swapped the drive over. We put an SSD in here. We've copied everything from this one to the SSD, which we now installed. And as you saw there from the time-lapse bit of the video, the SSD made a considerable difference to the boot up time, to the desktop, and loading Chrome up with a handful of tabs. So now is the time. In fact, the time was several years ago, but if you haven't yet upgraded your laptop that is sluggish at best and takes a long time to load up, then this could be the upgrade for you. Not this one. Get yourself a cheap SSD. They've come down a lot in price these days, and there is really no reason not to use an SSD in your computer. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and we hope you liked this quick how-to guide on how to upgrade your laptop and keep everything on the laptop using just the one computer. There are other ways that you can transfer an OS from your drive to a new drive, but this is probably the easiest way to do it. If you want to support our channel in any way, then please do check out the links down below in the video description. And if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more great content like this in the future, then click that bell notification in the bottom right corner of the video screen. And if you are a super fan and you want to follow us and support us, then please do click that subscribe button. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.